Gil Martin of Locked On NHL back with our extensive NHL draft coverage. Brandon Pillar of Locked On Senators with us. He is our prospects expert. And returning as the Columbus Blue Jackets make their second pick, Jay Forster and Denton Mateychuk going to the Jackets. Your thoughts on this pick?
This was a very un-Jarmo Kekalainen-like pick. I'm not unhappy with it. It was not what I was expecting. But I think that it's going to be an interesting one. I think he's a little bit of a slower project than Jiricek, but I'm not upset at all about having Mateychuk in the development pipeline.
Why do you think this was an atypical pick?
It just felt very what's the word I want? He's a very specific kind of project. I think he has some very clear issues not issues, but some discrepancies in his game, and it felt like I said, a longer project. It feels like he maybe is 2-3 years away from the NHL, which feels a little longer than what I think Kekalainen was looking for in this draft. But if he's drafted him, then clearly they have a plan in mind, and they're gonna stick to it. So I'm interested to see how he turns out.
Brandon, your thoughts? What does he bring to the table?
I think Denton Mateychuk is a great prospect, but like we talked about in the last pick, Jay, this is already a team that has a great young decor. So for them to go back-to-back defensive picks really surprised me, but there's a lot to like about Denton Mateychuk. I mean, anytime you get a guy that puts up 64 points in 65 games as a defenseman, clearly he can move the puck well. And what I like about him is he uses those low risk shots from the point. He's not just a guy that's going to wind up for a clapper and say, okay, hopefully this hits the net. If not, who cares? He's a guy that's going to be feathering the puck through traffic, allowing those forwards up front to try to get tips and deflections and rebounds. And he's someone that can really, he can fool goalies in tight as well. Like I saw a couple of highlights of him just deking out goalies on breakaways, and he's active on defense, and he gets in passing lanes and breaks up plays early. So there's things that you can really see from Mateychuk from an offensive standpoint. Obviously, when you're putting up point per game pace, you got some offense there, but he's not a complete liability defensively like some of these other highly touted offensive defensemen in the draft. So once again, Columbus Blue Jackets really shoring up on the defensive side of things, but there is nothing wrong with that. And you can always follow the Nashville Predators formula, draft 1 million defensemen, and then when you run out of room for them, trade those great defensemen for centermen, forwards, etc. down the road. So there is nothing wrong with Kekalainen going back-to-back defensemen, even if it did surprise me a little bit.
Brandon, Jay said that he's a bit more of a project, probably 2 to 3 years away. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Some of the knocks on him and hockey writers, they do a lot of great stuff on prospects, and they noted that he could use some work on his backward skating and that he does take quite a bit of risks. And when you're playing in junior as a defenseman, you can take those risks. You can try things out and see how it goes. But when you start getting to the pro levels, you need to be able to make smarter decisions because those risks, opponents don't give you those chances to get away with bad turnovers over and over again, and they will jump on those and make you pay. So he's going to have to do a little bit of work hemming in those risky passes and risky times to pinch in the O-zone. But that's something with some development, and the Columbus Blue Jackets can afford to be patient with him. I'm not too concerned in the future.
Jay, 2 picks in so far in this draft. How do you feel about your team?
I feel pretty good. I'm having a great time. Again, like we talked about in the previous one, everyone else seems to have picked chaos. This again, I think this is a pick that Jarmo has had his eye on from the very beginning. It doesn't feel like a pick of, they picked the guy that I wanted just before, so we'll go with this guy, I guess. I think that they went into this draft wanting specifically defensemen. I do think that maybe they were looking at Kevin Korchinski, who obviously went 7th overall to Chicago, I believe, which was a bit of a shock. But defense has been the biggest. Defense and center have been the biggest issues on the Blue Jackets for a while now. Especially in terms of prospects. So I'm really happy that they've decided to shore up one of those things. I would have liked a center, but having, like Brandon just said, having too many good defensemen is a really kind of, it's a pretty good problem to have.